White nationalists, self-described alt-righters, and some militia movement groups are planning to come out in full force on Election Day, Tuesday, November 8th, with the goal of scaring off black voters, typically Democratic voters, as you know, in an effort to help their guy, Donald Trump, defeat Hillary Clinton. We have heard from neo-Nazi leader Andrew Anglin. We've talked about him before. He plans to put together thousands of poll watchers across all 50 states. The alt-right website, The Right Stuff, is touting plans to set up hidden cameras at polling places in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They plan to be handing out liquor and marijuana in the city's, quote, ghetto on Election Day to try to induce residents to stay home. How offensive is it to think that if you just show up at a predominantly black polling place with alcohol and weed, black people will just forget that they were on their way to vote and they'll take the weed and the alcohol and just go home? I mean, this is just, it's the lowest of the low in terms of what we have come to see from these right-wing, white nationalist, alt-right type movements. A representative of the alt-right website, The Right Stuff, actually wrote an email about this, which I will show you, saying, "We are organizing poll watchers in urban areas to cut down on the most traditional type of voter fraud, of course, the kind that barely exists. We also will have stationary cameras hidden at polling locations in Philadelphia, illegal, to monitor anyone that comes in to vote and make sure that the same people are not voting at multiple locations." Pennsylvania is not even going to be close, so I don't know why they're worried about that. And let's put the graphic back up. If we see people voting in multiple locations, the footage will be submitted to the Federal Election Commission, as well as put out on social media to undermine the legitimacy of Hillary Clinton should she steal the election. The National Socialist Movement and various factions of the Ku Klux Klan have actually also been involved in deploying people to watch the polls, either informally or, as they say, through the Trump campaign, which is also informal unless you're actually registered as an election monitor. And then you have our buddies over at the Oath Keepers. That's the former law enforcement and military members who have coalesced around walking around with guns in a group called the Oath Keepers. They are planning to show up very heavily armed, and they're advising their members to go undercover and gather intelligence. That sounds like something the Oath Keepers would do. Now, Donald Trump has been telling supporters for weeks and even months that the entire thing is just rigged. It's going to be stolen. We need to activate people. Well, that's what we're seeing here, Pat. The repercussions of that are potential real world violence.
And these people say that they're out there to try to stop voter fraud, but really it's just giving them an excuse to go around and bully and intimidate minority groups. Really, they're rigging the election by causing some voters to be suppressed and stay home.
And the Trump campaign did not comment on this. Of course, as we know, Donald Trump, not racist, but popular enough to get an endorsement from a KKK newspaper to activate multiple factions of white nationalists to go stand at the polls and intimidate black voters. I will say it again. If you see voter intimidation, report it. Do not be intimidated. Do not engage with them. But most importantly, do not let them cost you your vote. Check out our segment from Tuesday, November 1st, about what to do. Call the police. There are numerous other places to report it. And I want to put up the information one more time. Who can you report intimidation to? Number one, the Election Protection Hotline, 1-866-OUR-VOTE. Number two, the U.S. Department of Justice Voting Rights Hotline at 800-253-3931. And you can also report this to local and state officials. This includes poll workers, your county clerk, the elections commissioner, the election supervisor, or your state board of elections. And please, if on election day, you might remember in 2012, there was a video that went viral of someone pressing Barack Obama and it selecting Mitt Romney. And we published that video that same day, election day. Millions of views, national media coverage. If you see anything on election day that we should be aware of and that should be made public, get it to us right away, and we will get it. We will be publishing YouTube clips throughout the day. We will put together a story and get it out on YouTube and start sending it out through our platform so that if there is something that needs to be seen before the end of the election day, we will get it out there. And this is so important, Pat. People should not just sit back and say, I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure no one else is being intimidated or impacted by this voting machine or that voting machine or whatever. Let anybody who will listen know, and we're certainly on that list.
Yeah, and it's looking more and more like this election is going to be decided by a razor-thin margin. We don't want to see what happened in 2000 with voting purge lists in Florida. We don't want that to happen again.
Yeah, and we don't want this to come down to 40,000 votes in Ohio the way we saw in 2004 either. I mean, get out and vote, report intimidation, and please just be aware that these lunatics are going to be out there, but do everything you can not to allow them to affect your vote. It's just a few more days until the 2016 presidential election. And if you're confident about what the results will be on November 8th, you can actually put your money where your mouth is. If you go to betdsi.com and use promo code Pakman25, this will give you a free $25 to back your favorite candidate. You can bet on this election in a number of different ways on betdsi.com. You can look at Clinton versus Trump. You can look at state-by-state races, the Electoral College, etc. And of course, there's a whole bunch of other stuff you can bet on if that's your thing. I am mostly interested, especially now, just mere hours before the results of the 2016 election start coming out, in what does our audience think? How confident is our audience in the election predictions that they've been sending me, both on the left and the right, for months now? You can actually make some cash if you're that confident that you will ultimately be right and vindicated. If you go to betdsi.com, which has been around for over 20 years, and my viewers and listeners can use promo code Pakman25 to get a free $25 credit for your election bet.